not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the custom of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day drawing near. The writer urges believers not to neglect meeting together. Why? Because a significant day was approaching, and he wanted them ready for it. There are, three possible meanings. The Christian day of worship. Some have thought the day referred to the weekly Lord's Day, but the New Testament already had names for that, the Lord's Day or the first day of the week. There's really no evidence the writer meant this. The destruction of Jerusalem in the year 70 is seen by some as the fulfillment of the day. This interpretation makes a lot of sense, especially if Hebrews was written somewhere between the years 60 and 65. At that time, the temple was still standing, and, many Jewish Christians were feeling the pull to go back to the old rituals. But judgment was on the horizon, a day that Jesus himself had predicted, as recorded in Matthew chapter 24, verses 1 through 34. When that destruction finally arrived, it would put an end to temple sacrifices once and for all, showing that the old covenant had truly come to a close. For those Hebrew Christians, that day wasn't just approaching, it was already looming over them, casting its shadow. Now, many modern commentators understand the day to refer to the ultimate day of the Lord, when Christ returns in glory. This view fits pretty well with the bigger message of Hebrews, which looks ahead to Christ's second coming, as mentioned in chapter 9, verse 28. The letter even says, "Yet a little while, and he who is coming will come and will not delay," in chapter 10, verse 37. So, which interpretation fits best? Well, while both the destruction of Jerusalem and the final judgment share some similarities, the first interpretation, AD 70, actually best fits the immediate situation. The book was written to Jewish Christians who were in danger of, falling back into Judaism. The fall of Jerusalem would have been a really powerful confirmation that the old covenant was, over forever. It was a local day of the Lord, much like the judgments described in the prophets, like in Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 14. Albert Barnes gave 6 reasons for this view, and here they are. First, the word day can refer to a specific day of local judgment. Second, Christ himself actually predicted this judgment upon that generation. Third, the destruction of the temple would directly concern Hebrew Christians who were tempted to return to it. Fourth, historical signs of that catastrophe were already visible. Fifth, there was really no strong evidence that Christ's final return was imminent at that time. And sixth, such a coming day of wrath would, rightly stir the readers to perseverance. Still, we can also see a dual meaning here. The local judgment on Jerusalem actually foreshadowed the final judgment when Christ returns. Each day of the Lord in history points toward the ultimate day when every knee shall bow. The main thrust of Hebrews chapter 10 verse 25 is really timeless. Whether the writer was talking about Jerusalem's fall or Christ's return, the lesson is the same. Stay faithful together. Don't drift from the assembly of believers. Don't grow weary. And honestly, the closer the day of reckoning or reward, the more urgently we must encourage one another. Every generation has its own day drawing nigh. For those first-century Christians, it was the end of the temple. For us, it's the return of Christ or, honestly, the close of our earthly lives. Either way, the call is exactly the same. Hold fast, stay together, and keep looking up. So, just to sum up, the day most likely referred to the coming destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, but it also foreshadows the final judgment. The warning urged Hebrew Christians to remain faithful, even in the middle of persecution, and not to retreat into the old system. The principle still applies today. As the final day approaches, we must all the more strengthen, encourage, and assemble with God's people. The first century's day has passed, but the greater day is still drawing near. So, let every gathering of believers be a reminder that time is short and Christ is coming. Let us not forsake our assembling, but stand shoulder to shoulder, proclaiming, "The Lord is near."